I'm literally seeing like headers sneaking on the stage. But welcome on board, joining me. A little bit quick intro about Hector. I mean, let me quick go through about like, how this whole session run. So we have founders coming in to try to build some ideas about like startups in Web3. We've been seeing some mass tech layoff. We've been seeing people trying to jump from Web2 to Web3. People are seeing how the climate of the market price is a little bit like stable right now. So we are envisioning there are more and more applications or chains or like protocols would happen in next couple of like months or like years. So having mentors coming in is really nice approach because you will be sharing some of the insight, the trends, the ups and downs that you know the best since you're really in that like tech or like Web3 area that share some lights with the entrepreneurs or the want to be entrepreneurs on the audience, right? So we will start with the 15 minutes where the guests will share if they have material, and then we jump straight into Q&A. I'll be the one moderating most of the sections in the Q&A, but definitely, there's functions on the on this like screen, right? On the bottom, on the right bottom, you can see the chat icon, right? You can definitely type in anything you want, where you're from. I mean, what's the project you're doing right now? Trying to make some friends on this chat room, leverage the tech tool that we have for the Get It Down. Then another house rule that I would love you guys to actually join us is to utilize the emoji function. So in the emoji, basically on the bottom bar of the whole screen, you click on the emoji, there's some icons like the hand clapping, thumbs up, right? Raising hands. Utilize it to actually make a bit more fun with the guests, right? When I welcome a guest on the stage, you can definitely do a bit like emoji to welcome the guest at the same time. If you have you find also some content that's really relevant to you, you think that it's like a punchline that's given from the guest, don't hesitate to actually share an emoji. Same when I invite guests off the stage, I also do emoji to thanks for the sharing. Without further ado, let me welcome the first guest, Heather. You're already on the stage. Come on, join me on the seat. A bit background about Hector, right? So Hector is really into the cybersecurity, the vulnerability assessment about like protecting people getting hacked with Web2 and Web3 world. He used to work in Orange as well as in MoonPay. MoonPay is kind of a well-known brand in the payment area in Web3. I'm really big fan of that. I think for some of you as well. And now he's working with PALO IT. It's a global innovation company that focusing a lot on the agile software developments. I'd like to give you a chance to do a bit more like self-introduction about what you're doing, I mean, and anything else. And for him, who'll be talking a lot about the, Heather will talk a lot about the business model and also product developments.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Well, as I'm currently a solutions architect in Palo IT. I'm in charge of create solutions for fintech payment services. And in my previous life, I was data scientist. So I spent a lot of time working with data, understanding different kind of prediction models. And my life in DeFi environment comes in to 2022. I started a project with different ways to use the cryptocurrency in order to pay stuff in general. So I create this platform for gift cards. You can use Lightning Network in order to send money to a gift card and use it in the real world. I mean, in the physical world. So I'm very enthusiastic of the decentralized organization and um, very fan of the new lending and payments created in a DeFi environment. So thank you for the invite.
Right, cool. Do you have any material or like slide to share to the audience before we start a Q&A? If not that, I think we just jump quickly with the Q&A. I'll make it very casual since it's a weekend. You can add as many personal experiences in the scene. So when I first see your profile, you're kind of very interesting profile. You used to work in more like traditional, more established kind of environment, and then moving to the Web3 world, right? What actually bring
Right.
you into the Web3 world? What's kind of the opportunity?
Yes, I mean, I work a lot in traditional banks and international payment methods. And a few years ago, I started working for a buy now pay later startup in Mexico. So I understand that the payments and the access to loans for a lot of people is very complicated and it's very restricted. So I start involved in the DeFi environment in order to understand how the cryptocurrency and the smart contracts could help us to jump into this new economy. I mean, trying to get different loans, trying to get different financial mechanisms for the the common people, right? So even trying to, I mean, close the bridge between the real, the fiat use of the money and the cryptocurrency use of the money. That's why one way of do that is, jumping into get and feel gift cards in order to use it into physical places or into in e-commerce, but using cryptocurrency in order to pay the services that you use common days.
Right. So things are a little bit complicated when we talk about like the crypto, right? Since the different like regulations, right? Many people are actually more into the traditional fiat money rather than the crypto, particularly with the retail, the stores, right? How is your solution, or how is the current like solutions into the payment side that bridge the gap for people, for general everyday people, on accepting the Web3.
Yeah, this is very interesting because in the traditional loan system, in traditional credit and lending and borrowing economics, you use a lot of the information that the people have, like credit bureaus or like credit history in the same bank, in order to prepare a particular loan, in order to use the money into e-commerce, for example. And when you use cryptocurrency, you can do practically the same, but you have the free to move your money, your cryptocurrency into different forms, using different creating value between the growth of the cryptocurrency and use it in the different ways. So the main problem that I see here is that when you can use the money in services like Amazon or in physical stores like Starbucks or um, something something feels like a very complicated in order to turn the cryptocurrency into fiat money. Even the gas fee is very high. So one solution for this is to not to get the directly into a fiat money, but fulfill a payment in cryptocurrency and get the gift card in order to buy things in a specific places. Something that like Bitterfield, something like that, but into Latin America economies.
Right, right. We'll go deeper on the gift card and the solution part a bit later on, since there are a lot of complications on business model, product development, concerns about like the product market fit, other stuff. So your background is really into security. We have other guests from Cloudflare later on that he will share about cybersecurity stuff. But I also love to get your concept and idea. What are some areas in Web3 that are still very vulnerable to hacking.
Yes, so something that is very interesting here is that, for example, you need to guarantee your identity, your digital identity, into the Web3. So something that currently is very complicated to get is to understand how to you can understand who is the person behind the operations, even if the operation is anonymous, but it is anonymous in terms of the identity of the person, uh, private data, not in the sense of the how an operation. So I believe trust is one of the main things that we need to fulfill in this industry, and create this value and create this trust in the current state. For example, like Compound or other services that use a collateral in order to getting you a loan is a way to get into the how you're going to repay the loan, uh, even if you are anonymous. I mean, and other ways is like in exchange, when centralized exchange, when you had to fulfill a KYC. The KYC is the way that the exchange knows who is behind the account and how can be trusted. So
Right, right. So it's a little bit tricky here. It's like many people would think like, I mean, it's kind of a real thing. Like in Web3 world, you can see for some blockchain, for some like protocol, you can see the whole transaction from the open ledger, right? Um,
yes,
but people would think like, since they are in Web3 is kind of anonymous about who you are, right? Where you're from. But it seems like there's some technology or data analytics companies can actually track the background and see all the behavior, just like Web2. What's kind of your view on data analytics, the big data thing in a Web3 world, since all the ledgers kind of open?
yeah, and this is really interesting because you can track all the movements from the different users, even if they are anonymous. But the thing is that how this can be used in a fiat world. So you can, the problem is not into the crypto with Web3 industry, is how we can interact with the fiat world. So this is very interesting because you can create protocols, and you can create ways to remain anonymous, but uh, generate this history of tracking transactions that can be trusted. And
Mm,
this is something very interesting because it's like a mix. O sea, you remain your private information, your location, your name, anonymous, but at the end, your behavior will give us scoring about what kind of trusted information you can have.
got it. We've been occasionally seeing some rug pull or like some smart contract flaws happened with like small project, like usually, right? Um, what is kind of your advice for like a small engineering team or like a newbie in Web3 engineers to provide the best security for the projects? Let's say in smart contract or like in general Web3 applications. What kind of the practices for them before they launch like to public audience?
Yeah, for example, in and we have been learning from the mistakes from the past, right? For example, DAO and DAO's organization, the first of all, was uh, with a lot of opportunity areas, even with this Ethereum making this hard fork in order to fulfill the problems.
You mean like Polkadot?
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a way to learn because we are already in a new industry, and we're going to make mistakes, right? But at the end, um, something that is very important is that the block and the token per se is very secure. So in order to don't get into this fake even without the ICO problems that we lived a few years ago, we learned a lot that we need to create this community to get the secure environment. And we all learn how to, all the information need to be um, treated with the same um, effort that in the Web 2. Uh, encrypting the information, getting the correct way to manage the users, and how, for example, in the DAO's industry, can a community can back a project. And this is very interesting about the DAOs. I mean, you can create a DAO by yourself, but the real strength of the DAO is the community behind a DAO, because all the people having a token, getting into the decisions of the company. I mean, trying to get these validation tokens in some sense, in getting the community to get the trust of the transaction. I believe some of the main strengths of the Web3 is the collaborative validation of the transaction.
Right. Cool. Let's go really focus on today's topic about the developments of the blockchain business model and also the product design. We have many people who are engineers, developers, product designers thinking about making a business, right? So your advice, your experience would definitely be really a plus for them. So in terms of building a company, there are two big elements, right? So one is the build with the L at the end, right? The other part is sell. Sales means like business development, marketing, right? So build and sell are the two pillars, right? For any like sub company. So from your experience, how to balance the build and sell in a Web3 venture creation stage, right? So how to actually minimize the cost of product developments, but at the same time validating the company's business model. What's kind of the agile methodology of Web3?
Yeah, I mean, in any industry, market fit is a very hard thing to get, and understanding that these two pillars in sense of how we need to build things fast and prove hypothesis, and how we need to focus on the consumer. Uh, a lot of the problems with some failed projects in Web3 is that they don't get focus on the consumer and the value that the consumer is going to get. So the technology had to be an enabler for a value proposition, not in the opposite way. You can not start with a big technology, understand big algorithms in order to looking for a problem. You need to find a problem that the people have. You need to understand the consumer needs, how the consumer behaves, and how the market is ready or not for some new interactions, right? So once you understand your problem, what you want to solve, before, I mean, writing any line of code, you need to understand what kind of problem you want to solve, and you can start testing with probably with a small MVP, or trying to get into the community, or making a landing page, trying to reach attention for the people, understand the desirability of the product you're going to create, and then understand how we need to create this experience through Web3. For example, I'm making an example. I'm working with the Bitcoin is in the general ledger is very slow for the big size of the transaction, etc. But for example, using Lightning Network can create this same value with the bridge in a very small amount of time that we cost in the Bitcoin ledger. So for this, in order to get, for example, a coffee, that this is very interesting use case. You cannot have 10 minutes in the checkout trying to pass a transaction in a different currencies in order to get the fiat money, right? So what you need is to understand the experience that the consumer have, understand the job to be done that the consumers need to fulfill, and then understand what kind of technology going to help me understanding this. I mean, if you are moving phones for a busy project, probably 10 minutes is a very acceptable amount of time in order to pass a transaction. But if you are buying a coffee, probably 10 minutes is a lot. This need to be, first of all, understanding the business side, understanding the consumer problems, and then need to understand and select what kind of technology do you want to choose in order to create your solution.
Right, right. I mean, we love to hear more examples from the expert, right? I mean, it's kind of like ideas are not new, but it's kind of like you learn from other people, copy a little bit here and there, and make something really cool, right? Ideas are never new. It's kind of the thing we say a lot in the startup scene, right? So in terms of the whole business model, we've been seeing some very creative business model from the last the 2008 financial crisis, right? There are many new companies formed because people cannot find a job. For them, it's kind of like they have to make their living, and that's why they create some really cool companies, right? The OTO, the recurring subscription, the SaaS-based business model, this all happens during that period of time, the last 15 years. How do you see the business model happen in Web3? Are we expecting some new forms of like models? I mean, let's say like XDR or like the royalty NFT system.
Yeah, I mean, I believe always it's after a recession or after a financial crisis, open a lot of opportunities for create new kind of value, and maybe when the technology is very young in terms of how we can use or get value from one kind of technology or different business model. Um, I believe in the next couple months, in the next couple years, the DeFi going to be a big thing in the all the world because we understand that a lot of the, I mean, regular economy is breaking down, so the people will need to understand how to move from a traditional lending borrowing industry to a new lending borrowing industry, understanding the risk, understanding the different models, and try to get this flexibility that the technology could have into the power of how we can use in an everyday basis. For I mean, in the original goals of the cryptocurrency, I mean, it's money. Money, one of the main characteristics of money is to get services or products with and how we can use it in the everyday basis. So if we can use it as a speculation asset, it's a good thing, but it's something that is like separated from the real use of the common use of the money. I believe in the next couple months, next couple years, a lot of new projects going to come with a different new business models, understanding that the use of the money going to be focused on how we can uh, get into, I mean, like a mix into the probably different lending in the fiat currency and making a collateral in the crypto and the Web3 industry and the DeFi industry. So currently we have some projects that you can get a loan in the fiat money with a collateral in cryptocurrency. That create a very interesting way because, for example, if you get your money out into fiat, the fees and the taxes are very high. It depends of the country, but if you can get a loan, the loan don't have taxes in a lot of countries in almost all the countries. So if you can get a loan with a collateral in crypto, you can use this mix between fiat and crypto and Web3 industry and get a new way to understand the risk for the traditional financial services, and a new way to get impact for the real use and the day-to-day use from the DeFi industry. So I believe in the near future, the mix of these two different interactions going to be very mainstream in the new projects, and the project is going to be very more mature, and the project is going to be very more understandable. That, for example, the pay tech industry is something that is growing a lot. Uh, Buy now pay later, and maybe creating a digital loan, and creating this kind of how you can buy things in e-commerce with cryptocurrency without get into the fiat money. This is going to be something that but going to be very interesting in the next time. I mean, even with gaming economy, right? You can use NFTs into games, trying to get things, and I believe this going to get a use that is going to be very more practical than in the past. I mean,
Right. It also depends on the on like the use cases, right? For example, we've been seeing some really big e-commerce company working with some of the really top crypto firms to develop some solutions, right? I'm kind of really into what you said. It's like since Bitcoin, it was kind of born after the crisis, right? To really as an alternative way that people use money, right? Now it's a kind of at a time that we are having a anticipated recession coming. We don't know when would come. We don't know like what is a real thing. But we can really smell it because of the whole tech firms or even like big companies trying to cut their costs to get more like cash into the bank to survive the whole period of time, right? What I kind of also see is like I mean, in short term, we may have like a hybrid model. Like people, you can pay by fiat. You can also pay by token. For people, they may have like a one channel to do accounting with the crypto. They're not catching out. They just use everything as a channel. We're also having other people more traditional, more like safe kind using fiat. So like the whole balance is like two column. One is how much is the value of the token. The other one is like the value of the fiat, right? And what I personally be looking forward to see is, so I'm really early in terms of the crypto. I kind of touched the crypto before Ethereum, So seeing all the ups and downs. The really bad thing, a really phenomenon that we see in the past 2 years, crypto prices is highly correlated to stock price. It may be a time that when recession comes, that correlation will shift off. Means it's kind of a time for crypto to survive, to become like shine in this period of time.
yeah, I mean, that is very interesting because, I mean, this volatility is something that probably, I mean, is going to never end. It's something that is going to keep happening, and what is needed is business models that could handle that. For example, making stop losses mechanisms for loans, or making new ways to understand how we can get advantage of this. Even I believe that a lot of the organizations need to move to DAO in order to understand the value of have the organization itself into the Web3. So traditional organizations, traditional uh, I mean, organization for students, or organization for um, housewives. So, I mean, a lot of organizations that currently exist moving to the DAO in order to get value, getting these tokens, understanding the decisions that the organization creates, and how this I mean, like a mirror between a physical organization and a DAO organization can create value in Web3 per se. It's also something that I mean, is going to be very hot in the next couple months, I believe, because you can have a small part of the current organization, any kind of organization, into the Web3 and get value for the different ways of taking decisions, get value of the how we can create models. For example, in Latin America, there is a lot of extra official financial models, a lot of people getting together and putting the money together, and the people out are self-organizing, how the people is getting the loan, how the people getting interest from the money in a extra structural ways. I mean, with no banks, with those are behaviors that the people already have. The means that get this into how we can organize in a DeFi organization could enhance what you are doing and could scale the operations. That's something a lot of probably some 20 housewives that has in a very small groups into something that could scale to um, a big organization with a lot of benefits for everybody and get this decentralized understanding of they don't need any bank, they don't need any organization in order to get what you're already doing, getting the money together, trying to make small loans in a very trust circle circumstances into how we can scale this into something like DAOs with a different model of borrowing or something like that. So I believe in the near future, a lot of the organization need to get into the DAOs, and you need to understand how we can create value and the value of the tokens, because currently the tokens is something that probably is not well understood for the 99% of the population, and I believe this common understanding of how get value and how transmit the value proposition of some products going to start working with the common people, with not tech people, and this is something very very excited because you can have access to a lot of people with a smartphone without getting a lot of the hard barriers that the uh, traditional finance has.
Right, right. We've been seeing a lot of like buzzword in between, right? For example, the DAO, for example, the loans, right, with this collateral and other stuff. Do you have any like case studies, or do you guys see any like DAO trying to serve your purpose that you kind of mentioned, like sourcing talent from all around the world, giving them a bit like NFT or like collateral as a way that can enter the DAO, right? And then on top of that, they can be paid for certain work, or they can be paid with the yield with the sticking margin, right? Have you seen some very special cases or like very like interesting like DAO concept or even like DeFi concept in the area that smoothing people's cash flow issues?
Yeah, I mean, I meet this group of people in Mexico that is making a DAO for I mean pre-sales of the products that those people sell corn, and they use DAO in order to self-organize and cut all the intermediaries for the process. So I believe this is something that I didn't see a big hit yet, but I see this is something that need to grow, that need to learn from the past mistakes, and I believe in the near future we're going to have a lot of the successful companies like that. Currently, I believe there's a lot of good efforts. I can share with you some organization with that are trying to do this. Some of the problems and the main problems is the team of control of the decisions, because a lot of the DAOs, a lot of the control tokens are remained by the company. So this isn't something that is hurting the way that the organization need to feel. That's why these kind of models need to be back for a community, not for companies. So if you create a community strong enough to understand what the goals of the community, and don't keep the control for yourself, this is something that a lot of DAOs is doing in the past. Um, I believe the things is going to get more usable for regular people.
Right. I mean, eventually, what we're saying in the Web3 world is all about like decentralization, right? You're not owning all the money machine. You're not owning all the tokens on hand. I mean, like it means security for you. It means the proof of authority for you when you kind of first started. But it's all about community, where people trust you with the highest fairness, right? Talking about the finance with the DeFi, one of the big struggle, at least for me, right? I have multiple wallets from different like chains. I use pens and papers to write it down on like a paper, and I kind of pack it on my notebook, so anyone can steal it if they can recognize as like these faces. Um, how do you see the interoperability or some solutions, cross-chain solutions in DeFi world?
Wow, that's a complicated question because there's a lot of ways to do that. I mean, I believe Cardano is doing very well in terms of create a community of different services in terms of how can get different contracts and how can get different interoperability into the wallets. Do you have a lot of the problems that, for example, if you had a Bitcoin, you can get this with a bridge to another coin, and the resources in Bitcoin remain, I mean, like an on hold for the time you get in the different wallet. I believe this has also a very high opportunity areas for different new protocols, understanding the ways of use this money and get the operation faster and with a better experience. Because, for example, some technology that I like a lot is Lightning Network. I believe is a big improvement and for the use of the cryptocurrency. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there is a lot of problems with interoperability currently. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity area to a lot of room for improvement.
Yep, yeah. So we talked about layers already, right? So layer one is something really common, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all the other like really big names, right? Avalanche, right? The layer two has been a boom in the past couple like months and years, right? We're seeing like Polygon's name, like all wrap solutions, kind of like the to relieve the workload of the layer one. Interoperability is kind of as like layer zero. We have like Polkadot with like Cosmos, right? Do you think we will eventually seeing the merge of like layer zero, or we're seeing like different like layer one doing their own jobs, but also giving a room for layer zero to actually survive? Will layer one kill layer zero?
Um, Probably not. I mean, probably not in the near future because you have a lot of. I mean, yeah, and that's the beauty of the smart contracts and that's the beauty of the decentralized things. That I mean, if the people still using it, it's going to keep going. I mean, there needs a good and a very organic improvement in the technology in order to people migrate to the new layer. For example, Polygon is a very and an excellent way to create a very fast product and a very fast development. Is a very good improvement on top of the previous way to create contracts and create models. But I think it's something that the people going to adopt in a different ways. But if there is some projects that in the layer zero works, I believe this is going to keep going for a long time until something new that is going to be more mature and is going to be more secure uh, coming up. But currently, I don't see that. I mean, I don't see the end of layer zero.
Right, right, cool. Web3 projects have one of the really interesting thing that we have never seen in Web2, right? Web3 is all about like getting early supporters, inferences, KOLs, right, believers to jump in as early as possible. That's why we're seeing like all the scam, all the noises on Twitter, like this marketing campaign. right? Somehow it's definitely hurting the project in like mid to long term because we'll quit, right? Get the all the token, all the discount NFT, right? What was kind of your take on making a project, having a noise in the market, at the same time sustainable? What was kind of the thinking or the product development approach of the whole company operation approach on keeping community healthy from day zero?
Yeah, that's a very tough question. Um, I believe uh, a lot of the projects in the past has been like a shiny things, and the people follow the shiny things and don't get a real value for the consumer. So it was just like this speculating on things stuff. I believe in the near future we're going to get a more mature ways of use. For example, I believe the NFTs in video games make a lot of sense because we already have something like that in the previous model, but creating this value and create this uniqueness and understanding that the how we can keep the fees for the original creator. I believe this make a lot of the new use cases more value to create something that, for example, in a game you could trade. I mean, enhance or weapons, etc. That could make this usable in the sense of you can remain your stuff and you can remain your stuff even between different environments. Also, in the Web3 and in the metaverse, something like that going to happen, right? You're going to have, I mean, like events. You're going to have like for example, clothes for your avatar that is going to has NFTs and use it into the trades. And I believe we're going to start creating I mean, use cases and value propositions that going to have a lot more sense than the shiny things and the speculating things. So, for example, in the music and in the creators, I believe all those industries going to be very benefit with the new technologies and the common use of the Web3. And it's normal, right? It happened with the web, happened with a lot of technologies that at the beginning everybody starts creating things that everybody get excited and get these bubbles and then the bubbles explode, and after that the market self-organize and get really use cases and new use cases that the people can use. So I believe if the new people that are going to enter into the startup community for the Web3 technologies, I believe they need to focus on the value that they provide to the consumer. They need to focus on the business model that makes sense in a long run, more than in speculating ways that get rich in 2 days, right? Something that can be usable in a regular basis, something that can be with a lot of adoption for the people. I believe in the near future, the main goal of the Web3 need to be get into the a lot of the population, because currently the 95% don't get access to a lot of these services. So even if they have a device that can handle the technology, right? Because they don't understand the technology, they understand the business model, and I believe we need to make it easier for the regular people the entrance of the new technology, the Web3.
Cool, cool. I have a lot of questions in my mind, but at the same time, I'd like to give chances for audience to ask. So you guys can type in on the chat room, and I'll pick it up to ask a header. So there are a couple of elements inside. How to actually make a product that's more user friendly. How we can actually attract the mass public to use Web3 products, right? Besides the one you mentioned about gaming, what other area that you see is emerging that would kind of get the attention from the larger audience? I mean, for
Yeah.
example, membership app. I mean, like e-commerce. I mean, I don't know. Like, you see many cases more than me.
I mean, I believe payment technologies is going to be very benefit with the Web3. Payment industry is something that is still understand itself because I mean you need a better checkout, so a virtual checkout, so how this connect with the e-commerce and how can use tokens in order to pay in the e-commerce and get shipped some products, etc. I believe these e-commerce and payment technologies are two industries that need to be getting to massive people population. So there is a problem in general with this, right? Because how and this is a very high problem with the general people. For example, the people that is in this room probably understand well the technology, understand well the risk of the exposure of the keys, understand well the security of the, I mean, trying to avoid scam, etc. But a lot of people in the 88% of the population don't have enough training, enough understanding of technology to protect themselves. So a big problem, even for example, a couple years ago, I was working in a self-sovereign project, something like Civic, but in Identity Puro, and the main problem of this new technology and this new product was the people probably lost their phones and lost their keys, and they can never get the assets again, and they can be responsible for their own security because they don't get this education, mainly in the not developed countries like Latam or some other countries, that the people don't have enough understanding of the technology and understanding how to identify a scam or something that could protect themselves. So in order to get into all these new areas, in order to get payment technology, in order to get DeFi for other things or e-commerce, we need to have this bridge in order to how can get the regular people that don't have a lot of understanding of technology secure without deliver the security by herself. Yeah, I mean, something that is very important is to provide security for the people that don't understand a lot of technology, and getting this going to be enabler in order to get adoption for e-commerce or for payment services and other kind of industries.
Right. It is counterintuitive, but what if using biometric authentication for people who are less aware about cybersecurity?
Wow,
Other forms of
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like because you're the expert in this field, right? I mean, like we also want to learn from mentors. How about other forms besides mirroring all the unrelated like 12 words in the mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting because in a physical world, you have an ID. I mean, understanding the identity, you have different ways to validate your identity, to validate your transaction. For example, you, in order to get into places, you have an ID, or maybe you have a token for a bank application, or maybe you have a password, and or maybe you have your secret questions in order that you forget everything else. But in Web3, you need to get new mechanisms to verify the identity, and at the same time remain some of the anonymous privileges that the Web3 has, but also you need to understand what kind of transaction they need to do in order to provide some kind of security, in order to don't get a lot of the money laundering working around the industry that is hurting the main use, right? Because you need to provide enough security to understand who is the transaction and the trust on the transaction and the person that is making the transaction, but enough liberty to keep decentralized, to keep anonymous, to keep a lot of the benefits of the Web3 without enhance the money laundering or the crime getting the resources through this to this industry. And this is kind of a balance, right? And I believe the self understanding of the identity, even protecting some kind of values from your identity, but understanding that identity is not only the name or is not only the address of the people. Identity is the behavior that you have in online in order to don't get your account still. The identity is understand how you are secure that the people that is asking for a loan is the people owned the keys, right? I mean, you remember they say, no keys, no coins, right? So
Mm.
it's something like that. I mean, if you have a centralized exchange when your keys are in the exchange, how do you validate your identity? That's why the KYC. That's why some kind of mechanisms that try to enhance the security. But even in the opposite side, if you give the keys to the people, they have the means to protect their keys by themselves? And the answer in a lot of cases is no. So this is a very big opportunity in order to understand the balance between how we can guarantee the identity and the ownership of the assets, and how we can keep a lot of the benefits of the Web3.
Yeah, maybe the zero knowledge proof is one of the solutions.
Maybe. I mean, in the past, something like Civic, something like self-sovereign projects make a really good effort. Also, in the Hyperledger was this project named um, I'm forgetting the name. Indie. Indie. That was a project for self-sovereign identity, but self-sovereign identity has the same problems, right? The people who is not well educated in technology, understand, well, self-aware of security, are very easy to hack.
Yeah, but we'll definitely see because like everything about innovation is built by people who are looking for thinking, right? It's always a gap to on education before you actually scale up your business. It happens with different like technology, AI, right? IoT, right? All these like fancy like terms, it all happens, right? So we also kind of have like argument in the startup ecosystem. It's kind of like whether you want to be the first player or you want to be a fast mover, right? So it's a big argument on that point of things. Um, we haven't talked a lot about the Palo IT. I mean, like we're not doing like a big like hard selling, but I mean, like you guys are also working quite a lot with the big companies. In the traditional, the more like a typical conventional kind of like the software developments, right? So we've been seeing some big companies trying to tap into Web3, right? The luxury brands, the sports brands, right? We can generally call it as a Web 2.5, right? As your team has been working quite a lot with the big corporates, what are some challenges and gaps of big corporates really adopting Web3?
Yeah, I mean, and the real thing is that in the traditional finance, there is a lot of room for improvement. For example, remittance has a lot of room for improvement, and crypto is one of the main ways to solve this kind of problems. So a lot of traditional banks, a lot of traditional financial institutions are trying to get into remittance mechanisms using crypto, for example. So I believe these companies need to understand the way to remain their purpose and the organization, but also be more flexible in terms of how they're making business. So it's going to be hard, and the use cases are very few today. For example, Visa has this deal with the Stellar and using Lumen as a last resource coin and all these technology are still very centralized and still very controlled by these organizations. I believe this is a natural step in order to don't. I mean, the big companies don't want to get lose the control. So I believe those organizations need to understand and to grow into something that the regular people, the massive people that they are addressing, need to get these services, and those guys need to be enablers for these kind of services. For probably for a centralized exchange, bucket with a big bank or with a remittance that we use crypto in order to reduce the fees of the Swift system. Swift is the worst thing that happen in the financial industry. Is slow, is very expensive, and is very accurate to some countries. So I believe a lot of Web3 solutions we has a better opportunity to replace this kind of old technologies.
What could be some of the dark horse surprising thing would happen with the corporate in Web3? I mean, like, it's not based on your imagination. I mean, like, just saying, like, are we seeing like Hedera making a platform for Web3 companies in banking area? What would that be? Will banks creating their own token? Will banks or like big companies opening their own DAO to develop like new products from the C2B model?
That's a hard question. Probably something that needs to be understood is that not all the use cases need to be exactly an approximation of how the traditional services works. Probably we need to find new ways to use money, new ways to trade things, even with the different kind of mechanisms. For example, I believe that banks, the reason that exists is that we need to trade money, we need to trade things, we need to interchange products, we need to pay things. But once we can get more adoption and more value given to the Web3 in the general population, I believe a lot of the regular transactions that happen in the real world will happen in the Web3. But there is a big problems in general. For example, uh, Latin America or for example Japan are economies that are very cash centric. How we can reduce the cash use in those countries in order to get into more digitalized way of pay things. These economies are very cash centric, and the way to manage their finance are very traditional. So I believe there's a lot of room for improvement in the order of how to use the cryptocurrency in order to pay regular stuff. But also I believe the big surprise going to have in the different activities like schools or like in games where you can use different ways to trade money instead of money, trade products or trade assets or trade and I don't know homeworks etc. That could help us to think differently than the financial services. It's not only migrate a regular loan to a I mean um, crypto loan or a smart contract. Is how we can rethink the use of the money into a Web3.
Right, it's a big discussion, right? And also
Yeah.
with that's one of the mysterious, not mysterious, but really a well-known problem is so-called the trilemma, right? Because some audience would make something about like layer one solutions and not chain publicly, right? Um, how to balance with the decentralization, scalability, and also like security? Like what kind of the focus should a team consider when they first start a project? Let's say in a layer one or like layer two solutions.
Yeah, I think we need to focus first of all in the community. I believe the a good I mean a good community, a strong community that validate themselves in different ways is a really good way to have a very natural way of security. Also, understand the value to the consumer, what the consumer gets. I mean, aside of the speculation value that they could have, how they can put the crypto to work for them in a different kind of ways, right? Probably they are funding collateral in order to borrow into people. Maybe they are trying to. I mean, what you need to think in order to create new product or new startup on Web3 is what value I'm giving to the consumer and how I can grow a community around it.
Any tips around building community and expanding community for the aspiring entrepreneurs on the floor?
Uh, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of there is a lot of community for everything, right? From people that like cars, for people that like dance, for people that like food. I believe that those people get together for a reason, and you need to understand the motivation and the jobs to be done for these people, and try to get an approach in a very organic way to these organizations, and those organizations will give you the problems that they have. These organizations that already exist can I mean give you the I mean we are trying to get this and we're trying to trade parts of a card and get improvements for tuning, and but we are facing these barriers and we are facing these problems. So if you can listen to the community, you can listen this understanding that they are looking for a goal, probably a fun goal, a hobby, or maybe a business goal. If you understand the motivations and you understand their needs, it's going to be very easy. I mean, way more easy than if you create something and try to get a community from nothing, right? So the communities already exist there. Probably everybody here are part of some kind of community, student communities or a hobbies community or something that try to approach to the community that already exists and try to understand the problems, try to understand what kind of barriers they have in order to jump into the Web3, and that's the way you can find the value of your company.
Right, right. So a lot of people come to join a DAO or like a community because there's some benefit, right? Particularly in a corporate world, why people do research like free research interview for you is because you want to get like $5 like coffee for free, right?
Claro.
And
Yeah.
applying that concept into the Web3 world, they want to get like some alpha pass or let's say some discount with NFT or like some like free token for like a upside a reward, right? How do you approach making an incentive mechanism for the early participants?
Yeah, for example, in the DAO is very natural, right? You get tokens if you validate people. You get tokens if you work a lot of hours or something. I mean, even the way you mine crypto is the same. You give some kind of computer and you get something back. So I believe some incentives in this sense is something that has been something that the mechanism is not very complicated. It's the in order to get a value you get very easily in the
Still on, Heta? Hello? Okay. I think that is a bit like technical issue with the head design, but the past hour we had is really fruitful. Anything about security, making business model, as well as to making a DAO that is really friendly to community in the finance area and other vertical that you can take a really good reference with. Um, yeah, thank you so much, Hector. If you're hearing me, I would like to invite you back to the floor. Since we have two more mentors coming up to share about the experiences and also like some insight about Web3. The next speaker is